You want to know what's funny? The CIA, all that power, all that control, and yet they trembled. Ha! They prayed for mercy. Mercy from what? From me? No, from you. From the thing they couldn't file, couldn't trace, couldn't kill. Your shadow. You see, everyone's got one. That part of you they told you to hide, to bury. But when you finally meet it, when you become it, the whole world shakes. So tonight, I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to as wake as you. Because mercy, that's for the weak. Power. Such a beautiful little lie we all believe in. The uniforms, the badges, the titles, the agencies. They convince the world they're in control. But what happens when control meets chaos? When authority faces something it can't predict, can't measure, can't lock up in a file? It crumbles. Power becomes paper. The illusion shatters. Even institutions built on fear, like the CIA, live in fear themselves. Fear of the unpredictable, the uncontrollable, the unknown. That's the secret no one wants you to know. Power is never real. It's borrowed, and it lasts only as long as everyone believes in it. When you stop believing, when you step outside their little system, everything changes. You see the puppeteers, the strings, the trembling hands behind the curtain. Those who claim to protect order are often terrified of disorder. Because chaos doesn't follow rules, doesn't take orders, doesn't kneel. Chaos exposes truth. It shows that the real power lies not in the hands of the ones who control, but in those who can't be controlled. Look at history. Every empire, every agency, every so-called superpower eventually faces something it cannot contain. An idea, a movement, a mind that refuses to obey. That's when they start to pray, to beg for mercy, because their illusion has cracked. Power, in the end, is just a story told loud enough to silence the others. But once you stop listening, once you laugh at the story, you see it for what it is, a trick, a mask. The CIA may have its satellites, spies, and secrets, but even it trembles before the human spirit. That wild, ungovernable thing inside each of us. They can't decode your shadow. They can't imprison your chaos. The moment you embrace that truth, you become what they fear most, someone free. And freedom, my friend, is the most dangerous weapon in the world. So the next time they tell you who's in charge, smile. Because deep down, they know power is a mirror, not a throne. It only reflects what we let it. Break the mirror, and you'll see the truth. The real power has always been in you. And that scares them more than anything. Everyone has a shadow. That hidden side you've been taught to fear, deny, or bury deep within yourself. It's the version of you that doesn't play by the rules, the part that carries your anger, your hunger, your wildest desires. Society tells you to silence it, to act normal, to wear the mask of control. But the truth is, that shadow isn't your enemy. It's your untamed power waiting to be recognized. The moment you turn away from it, you split yourself in two, the person you pretend to be and the person you truly are. The CIA, the system, the entire machinery of control, they all thrive on that split. They want you to believe your darker side is dangerous, unworthy, unacceptable. Because once you accept it, once you integrate it, you stop being predictable. You stop being manageable. You become something beyond their reach. A complete human being. The shadow isn't about evil or destruction. It's about honesty. It's the courage to see what you are without filters or excuses. When you meet your shadow, really meet it, you'll realize how much energy, you've wasted trying to suppress it. Every time you smile when you want to scream, every time you obey when your heart says rebel, you feed the illusion of control. But the moment you embrace the chaos inside, something miraculous happens. You stop fearing yourself. And when you stop fearing yourself, no one else can scare you. People think enlightenment is all light, peace, and love, but the real awakening comes when you walk through your own darkness and come out laughing. That's when the power returns to you. You no longer beg for approval. You no longer follow orders blindly. And you no longer shrink to fit into someone else's comfort zone. So yes, everyone has a shadow. But only a few are brave enough to meet it, shake its hand, and let it walk beside them. Those who do become unstoppable, not because they're perfect, but because they're whole. And that wholeness, that fearless self-acceptance, is something even the most powerful institutions can't manipulate. Because once you own your shadow, you own yourself. True strength isn't found in dominance, wealth, or authority. It's found in self-acceptance. The world teaches you to fight your flaws, hide your fears, and bury your pain. But real power begins when you stop fighting yourself, when you look at your reflection, scars, darkness, and all, and say, yes, that's me. Because strength isn't about control, it's about surrendering to the truth of who you are without shame. Most people live in chains, not because someone locked them up, but because they're terrified of what's inside. They think if they keep pretending, keep smiling, keep following orders, they'll stay safe. But that safety is a cage. The moment you accept every part of yourself, the anger, the ambition, the fear, the madness, you break the illusion of control that others hold over you. You can't be manipulated by guilt or tamed by judgment when you've already made peace with what you are. Even the CIA, with all its mind games and psychological tricks, fears the person who knows themselves. Why? Because a self-aware mind is untouchable. They can't use your weaknesses against you if you've already embraced them. They can't lure you with approval if you no longer crave it. That's the paradox. Once you accept your flaws, they lose their power to hurt you. Self-acceptance doesn't mean stagnation. It's not about giving up or being reckless. It's about knowing your own nature so deeply that no one else can define you. When you accept your shadow, your pain becomes wisdom, your fear becomes fuel, and your past becomes your foundation. You stop trying to be normal and start being real. And real people, authentic, unapologetic, whole, are the most dangerous kind of people there are. Because they don't need permission to exist. They don't beg for power, they are power. The moment you accept yourself completely, you become unpredictable, unstoppable, and absolutely free. That's the kind of strength no agency, no government, no system can replicate. It's raw, it's human, and it's yours. Fear, that trembling little word that rules entire empires. It's what keeps soldiers marching, citizens obeying, and systems intact. But here's the twist: fear isn't your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. The CIA, like every power structure, thrives on fear. They study it, weaponize it, feed on it. But what happens when you stop running from your own fear? When you turn around and stare it right in the eye? It changes shape. It becomes energy. It becomes transformation. Fear is the fire that forges you. It strips away illusion, comfort, and false identity until only truth remains. When you face your fear, you stop being a victim of it. You begin to understand its language. It's not saying, run. It's saying, wake up. Every great act of rebellion, every revolution, every personal awakening began with someone standing in front of their fear and saying, not today. The ones who control the world don't fear guns or protests. They fear people who aren't afraid anymore. Because once you stop fearing loss, pain, or judgment, you can't be controlled. You become chaos in motion. Pure, unpredictable will. That's why they pray for mercy when someone embraces their shadow. Because fear, once mastered, turns from a cage into a weapon. Think of it like this: your fear shows you exactly where your power hides. Every time your heart races, every time your hands shake, it's a compass pointing to something important, something real. Step into it, and you'll grow. Avoid it, and you'll shrink. So don't try to erase fear. Don't pretend it's gone. Feel it, face it, use it. Let it sharpen you, let it teach you. Because fear is proof that you're alive, that something inside you is waking up. And when you channel that fear into action, passion, creation, the world takes notice. Even the mighty tremble. In the end, it's not fear that destroys people. It's their refusal to face it. The moment you embrace fear, it bends to your will. And that's the moment you become untouchable. From the moment you were born, the world started teaching you the rules. What to say, how to act, when to smile, and when to stay silent. They hand you a script and call it normal. But normal is just another word for controlled. The system, the agencies, the institutions, they don't want thinkers, they want followers. Conformity is their masterpiece, their invisible leash. And they sell it so well that you start to believe obedience is safety. But the truth, conformity kills the soul long before the body dies. The CIA, governments, corporations, they all thrive on predictability. They build models, algorithms, psychological profiles to forecast behavior. But what happens when someone stops following the pattern? When someone decides not to play by the rules, the entire system panics. Because chaos, true individuality, cannot be monitored or managed. You become a ghost in their machine, a glitch in their perfect order. That's the kind of power that terrifies them. Challenging conformity isn't about rebellion for its own sake. It's about authenticity. It's the act of saying, I will not trade my truth for acceptance. When you refuse to bend just to fit in, you rediscover your raw humanity. Unfiltered, unpredictable, alive. You begin to think for yourself, to create your own meaning instead of recycling the one handed to you. And that's dangerous, because one free mind can awaken 1,000 others. The ones who break the mold are always called crazy first. They're ridiculed, rejected, feared, until the world catches up and realizes they were right all along. Every great change, every revolution, every transformation began with someone who refused to conform. So don't be afraid to be different. Be afraid of becoming invisible in your own life. The crowd offers comfort, but comfort is a slow death. Step outside their lines, burn the script, and write your own chaos. That's where real life begins, at the edge of disobedience. Because the ones who dare to think freely, to move against the current, are the ones who truly live. And the world, no matter how powerful it seems, can't control someone who no longer seeks its approval. Mercy, such a beautiful word, isn't it? Soft, pure, almost holy. But in the real world, in the raw, unfiltered struggle of survival, mercy is the chain that keeps lions pretending to be sheep. The powerful preach mercy to keep you tame, to make you hesitate when it's time to strike. But the truth is, the world doesn't reward hesitation. It devours it. The CIA, the system, the puppeteers, they show mercy only when they've already won. And when they haven't, they call your strength madness. Mercy, as they define it, is surrender dressed in virtue. They want you to feel guilty for fighting back, for demanding more, for embracing your darker nature. They whisper, be kind, be patient, forgive, because they know once you stop forgiving everything that breaks you, you'll stop obeying. The moment you drop mercy, you stop being predictable. You stop playing the victim in someone else's story and start writing your own. Now, don't confuse this with cruelty. Refusing mercy isn't about becoming a monster. It's about refusing to bow. It's about standing tall when the world expects you to crawl. It's understanding that strength doesn't come from softness. It comes from clarity. You know who deserves your compassion and who doesn't. You stop wasting energy, saving those who would rather see you broken. When the CIA prayed for mercy, it wasn't out of goodness. It was out of fear. Fear of what happens when the powerless finally stop begging. Fear of people who find their shadow, embrace it, and move without apology. Because mercy, once withdrawn from the oppressor, becomes justice. So, when they tell you to be merciful, smile. Tell them mercy is a luxury you no longer afford, because those who conquer themselves owe nothing to those who tried to cage them. Mercy is for those still waiting for permission to be powerful. But you've already met your shadow. You've already seen the truth. And once you've looked into that abyss and laughed, mercy isn't in your vocabulary anymore. Only freedom is.